Hello, everybody. This is Fernando Labastida, and we are here with the one and only Jimmy Jobe, CEO and co founder of Verge Technologies. And this is the inaugural edition of Jimmy's new podcast. How do you feel about launching your new podcast here, Jimmy?
I'm excited about it. I've been looking forward to it and being able
Oops.
to discuss new technologies and how that we can be of service in resolving, mitigating, and preventing database failures across the enterprise.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, listen, why don't we just kind of get into the history? Tell me about that, about your story, because you were telling me about this, this past week, and it was really compelling. If you could tell me, kind of go back to the beginning, how did you start Verge Technologies? What was that spark, or that that realization, or that experience that got you to start a new company with this very unique approach to hybrid clouds and multi clouds?
Yeah, be glad to, Fernando. So there were four founders around Verge Technologies. Myself and another gentleman started a few years before we pulled everybody together. At that point, we all had day jobs, but we had a vision. We had a vision of how we could pool our respective skills together and solve several problems that were affecting the industry and provide a better way of managing databases within and across the enterprise footprint. So the things we saw that really promoted us and energized us to be able to solve this problem was that number one, we saw that enterprises were scrambling as fast as they could to get to cloud services, right? To public cloud services versus proprietary data centers, right? And the reasons of that were that the cloud service providers were offering what I'm going to call commodity infrastructure and commodity services. And what that equated to was less cost, right? The side of the enterprise versus trying to maintain all of that hosting infrastructure yourselves, right? So there was a mad dash to get as much as they could in the cloud as fast as they could. But secondarily, we saw the effect of that, right? And the effect of that was that very few, if any, could ever get into what I'm going to call all in cloud. And that was for a lot of different reasons, right? Some of those reasons were the fact that they had legacy systems that wouldn't run in the clouds, right? And so those systems were going to have to be in those proprietary data centers until they were sunset or rewritten so that they would run in modern architectures and client server environments, right? So the other reasons were security. Other reasons, even past that, were the fact that the enterprise footprint typically is a very distributed footprint across several locations. And there wasn't one ubiquitous service provider that no matter where they were at, you could say, okay, I'm going to get into this cloud, whether it be an AWS or Azure or Google or one of 500 others around the globe. There just wasn't one, right? And so the effect of getting into cloud services, the manifests itself in the fact that you were in a hybrid cloud environment because some of your database assets remained in proprietary data centers. Some of them were in the Amazons and Azures and Googles and IBMs and Oracle clouds of the world. And so because of that, then that hybrid cloud or multi-cloud environment that you were operating in forced you to learn new sets of tools wherever your database assets were housed. There were different SLAs. A lot of those SLAs from cloud service providers were best effort versus, 99999% of the time uptime, right? So those created additional angst,
Right.
right? Plus those cloud service providers had a lot of hidden cost. Those hidden costs were, depending upon what systems you use, were typically a la carte. They were always additions to whatever price your server was, right? So costs became more unpredictable and less steady and solid as you went forward. So all of these combined created an atmosphere where it needed to have what I'm going to call hybrid cloud or multi-cloud management. When in what we termed that to be is cloud convergence, right? And that is managing many clouds as one cloud. And you say, well, what does that mean? So that what that really means is that if you were an enterprise and you had assets in 4 or 5 different service providers out there and you were trying to move data in and between them and manage your operations on a daily basis, that we would take all of those database assets and manage them in a federated model using AI, which would allow you a single pane of glass, a single user interface, and being able to manage and optimize the performance of all those database assets, irregardless of where they're physically or logically located, as if they were all in one virtual data center. And so that was the value, that automation that takes away the touch, saves you OpEx and CapEx, being able to manage and control your database performance at runtime. We're talking about a live database, being able to control that and optimize the performance of that at runtime and being able to provide mobility to move those databases wherever on the globe they needed to be moved in order to optimize your business operations is what we developed in SentientDB.
Well, to me, it just sounds like as though it's totally innovative and a totally new approach to managing today's distributed data centers, whether they're in the cloud or whether it's a proprietary private data center, especially when you have legacy systems. I think, and that was a great realization. So when you and your other three co-founders, Verge Technologies, when you were in the middle of that, what was your situation at the time? Like when you all were thinking about the technology and trying to start the company, were you employed somewhere else or did you have another company or what was your situation? I kind of would
Yeah,
like to know that sort of
right.
entrepreneurial backstory.
Right. So my background was U.S. Army, followed by Texas Instruments. I spent roughly 20 years at Texas Instruments in a variety of roles. Started out with the Defense Systems Group at Texas Instruments, where I was associated with a number of projects, including developing guidance sections for cruise missiles, avionics, missile systems, custom computers, and then moved on to TI and actually was part of a startup within a large company. And that kind of got my head around being able to take new products that were just developed and put them into the market, harden those, productize those, being able to launch a solid enterprise product into the market, because that's all my years at TI. That's what we had done. So I started after TI. I started with several startups. A couple in New Jersey, some in California, one even in and through those I had the experience and the pitfalls of startups and how they are successful or not. I had a really good idea of how to launch products into new markets. And both of those allowed us to move very quickly with Verge. I was at the time we were developing Verge, I was contracting for HP, helping HP consolidate and move clients from old data centers into new data centers. And so I knew that all the pitfalls and how hard it really was in order to move databases and applications from one place to another. And so one of those things is I wanted to be able to provide an automated way to do that that would not allow any downtime. In other words, it would just move that database from A to B, and the people that were using that database and the applications that were using that database would never see an interruption, never see a downtime, and allow them to continue their work as that database was being moved to another location. So we combined our skill sets, some technical. Two of our founders were teaching computer science at a university. Dr. Giovanni Marana and Dr. Daniel Zito were both teaching classes in artificial intelligence and global and distributed systems. And with the technical side and then the business side of our company, we decided that it was time to launch and go ahead and finish this. And so we did. We attracted friends and family funding. And based on that friends and family funding, we were able to test our product, get it vetted, being able to fill our pipelines indirect and direct with resellers and customers. And so that's how we got started.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, that's fantastic. And so tell me a little bit about getting the company off the ground. Was it difficult getting your first customers, or was it kind of like a walk in the park? And then, if there was any moment where you said, you know what, I think I want to quit. This is just, this is too difficult, or was it kind of all smooth sailing?
So no, with any startup, there's several near-death experiences that everyone goes through, right? In ours, was more difficult than what I would say is normally the case with the startup, in the fact that we had a very disruptive technology, and with that disruptive technology, you really needed to be able to find people that saw the same vision you did, people that were risk takers and early adopters of new technologies that has the possibility of really changing the way that IT is managed going forward, and be able to provide that benefit so that they can see the real benefit and capabilities of a new automated AI technology. There were, of course, the fear mongers out there that were saying, stay away from AI. AI is dangerous. You guys don't need to go do that, where we saw AI as a real enabler, if you would, to automating and providing intelligent IT management of databases across the globe. And so it actually enabled our technology to work and be smooth.
Okay, well that's fantastic. That's really great. Yeah, though I know about those near death experiences, Jimmy. I tell you what, it's sort of like a par for the course for entrepreneurs.
It is. White hair. I'm really just 39, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. There's kind of a delay for some reason. I don't quite know how to resolve it, but this platform, obviously I'm going to edit this out, but this platform does a really great job of compensating for things like that, right? So I'll see how the end result is when
Yeah.
when I
Uh,
go and
we,
edit
we,
this.
we can always do
Um,
a take two if we need to.
Great. So tell me a little bit about yeah, yeah, yeah. Perfect, perfect. So going forward, I mean, what do you see in terms of the future of, the I guess the cloud, the data center, the IT department of the future? I mean, because obviously this is a very futuristic technology. What you have created here with SentientDB, you kind of banked you kind of bet the farm on building a company on this new approach. What do you see? What are your predictions for the future? I mean, if you could sort of look into the crystal ball as to the IT department of the future, what do you see?
My prediction is that within 5 years, intelligent IT management using AI is going to be the standard, not the new disruptive technology. And I believe that whether it's my company or somebody else's company, that's just the way that we'll manage IT. The benefits of being able to have low touch and automation is ones that can save you labor. They can increase your resiliency, decrease your downtime, being able to predict uh, uh, workload issues before they happen, and then being able to take action before that critical issue becomes and manifests itself, and the database goes down. So being able to do all of those things in real time at runtime is the difference that I think is going to be continue to be across all of IT management going forward, right? And I think it's probably the time is 3 to 5 years. And so we were very early to the market, and we can see the all the scars that we put on ourselves being kind of first to market. And so but the market is there. When we first started with our product in the market about 3 years ago, very few of the industry analysts like the Gartners and the Forresters of the world were tracking multi-cloud hybrid cloud environments. At that point, everyone will still had the strategy of trying to get into one cloud service provider. Try to get everything into Amazon, or try to get everything in Azure or Google or IBM or Oracle. Because if you're in one, then they'll take care of you. Well, they'll take care of you all right, and they'll lock you in for price and service and everything else, and make it really difficult for you to leave at one point. So having that as a background, the industry has started really catching up. If you go to Gartner today and you can Google, Gartner is saying, look, we're seeing enterprises turning up 4 to 7 different service providers to cover their distributed footprint for all the issues we talked about before of not having an AWS on every corner you had a footprint, right? And so the issue for any distributed footprint is getting data from all the points of collection to much fewer points of processing, to storage, to access to the teams that need that data, whether that's sales, marketing, logistics, financial, being able to have that data in the hands of the people in as near real time as possible to make those organizational and competitive decisions that enterprises need to make every day and every hour of every day.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. And I think the beautiful thing is that Verge Technologies is one of those groups, one of those companies that are helping to bring that future into reality, where eventually it's not going to be just disruptive technologies. These disruptive technologies are going to be the status quo. And I'm excited because Verge is going to be there,
Yeah,
right?
I am too. I am so glad that we could develop this product to help people at the exact time that they needed it. So I believe that our platform is at the right place at the right time, proven, vetted, tested for enterprise customers, right? And so I think going forward that we can provide benefit to all of those companies out there that are operating today in hybrid cloud or multi-cloud environments. And even if you're not, even if you're working in strictly still proprietary data centers and linking proprietary data centers together, we can operate in that environment just as well as a single environment as well as a hybrid cloud environment. Think about, if you will, the ability to have a database management fabric that goes across your entire enterprise, all the different nodes and points in your enterprise, all the different compute environments, whether those be colo, whether those be managed services at a cloud service provider, whether those be proprietary data centers, and being able to manage live databases at real time, at runtime, and make zero downtime a very possible outcome. That resilience, that fault tolerance in your operating environment causes less outages, less downtime, less touch of your IT operations staff on those databases to keep the train on the track, so to speak. Most IT departments today spend an inordinate amount of time trying to just maintain, right? Probably 70% of their time they spend maintaining versus 20 to 30% of their time actually innovating and enabling the enterprise to take the next step, to open that new market, to open that new line of business. What we're trying to do is through our automation and through our AI management is to
Mhm.
flip that on its head and Verge Technologies and SentientDB to manage all of your database assets, no matter where they're located.
That really takes a sort of a mindset shift, if you will, on the part of, IT managers, IT directors, is being able to sort of see their job as not maintenance, not keeping the trains running, but of, you know, the train is going to keep running automatically because it's got it's a self-driving train. Everything is self-healing. Now what we can do is focus on innovation. We can focus on building, client-facing applications to make our, to really do digital transformation in a serious, true way. So, before we conclude today's inaugural interview, Jimmy, I was wondering if you could give me a few examples of successes that some of your clients have had, implementing Verge technologies in their environment.
Yes. So I'll give you a couple, and then we can talk about more. But let's talk about Lumen Technologies. Lumen Technologies is a distributor of ours. They have actually developed a product service offering around our platform. Lumen is heavy into AI as well as edge cloud processing, and Lumen has a lot of networks. I think something like 450,000 miles of fiber around the globe today, right? So they light up lots of buildings and lots of continents, right? And with their edge cloud processing, their vision is our product riding on their networks or their pipes and moving and orchestrating database movement in and through those edge cloud processing centers. So they have coined the term cloud convergence on the edge, right? And so we are in the process of working with Lumen to put together a rollout, if you would, of our product, and uh, not only in their edge processing centers, but helping their customers both on the federal side as well as the commercial side to manage their databases in 2025. The next example I would give you is with B&A, Barton Associates. They are an integrator, service provider for the federal side in Virginia. And B&A has installed our product in their data center and has made it available to their customers, right, to use their product, use our product in their data centers. In both cases, we're helping provide something. There's a gap there today, right, as far as being able to orchestrate, manage, and optimize the performance of live databases and ensure that there's no outages, ensure that there's a little or no downtime, and actually free up your IT staff to get back to probably what you really hired them to do, which was enable your business to be successful, right? So with being able to improve productivity, being able to, if you would, install a technology that's self-managing and self-healing, allows your operations staff to get back to enabling your enterprise to be very successful.
Okay, that's fantastic. I love those stories. And, I think that, what I think is interesting is if you kind of look across the industry, we're seeing a big shift in the whole, I want to call it, the IT ops or IT ops management industry, cloud application management, database management, all that kind of stuff is, there's this zeitgeist right now that Verge finds itself in, that you as a thought leader, Jimmy, find yourself in. And it's kind of exciting that, that we get to play in this space while
It
things are changing
really
in the
is.
data center, in the IT department so quickly.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. It really is. I couldn't have asked for better conditions and to be there to really be able to help people.
Great, great. Well, listen, I think we've had a great initial episode over here, and I wanted to just tell all the viewers over here that we will see you all next week in another episode with Jimmy Jobe, our host of the podcast, and just to hear what's going on in the data center, in the hybrid multi-cloud environment. See you all next time.
Yeah. Yeah.